Good evening, everybody. Sheriff Matt Aller here at Audrain County. And it rained all day here, so there was no shooting that was going to happen this afternoon after work. But we did come out. I did decide to come out to the loading bench here in the machine shed and try to load up some stuff that maybe we can shoot the next time the weather clears up and we can get out and burn up some gunpowder. But as I was sitting here at the loading bench, I got to thinking about several of the comments that I saw on one of my other videos, which was the video about the Taurus 327 Federal Magnum. And just to give you a little background on that video, in that video, I stated very plainly that I bought two of those 327 Federal Magnums because my brother-in-law, I was out to dinner with my sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law is 75, and he said he was having problems operating the slide on his 9mm pistol, dexterity in his hands and things like that, hand strength, which that'll probably happen to all of us someday. So he requested that I go on the hunt for a small-ish revolver that could be easily carried and that the recoil wouldn't be too intensive. So the 327 Federal Magnum immediately came to mind because you can shoot 327 Federal, you can shoot 32 H&R mag, you can shoot 32 Smith & Wesson long, and you can shoot 32 Smith & Wesson. So I called the guys at Graff & Sons, and I had them hunt down two of those Taurus 327 Federal Magnum revolvers, one of them being for my brother-in-law. And there were several comments, and I'm laughing. There were several comments on there that I did address. Now, some of those comments disappeared. I think one or two of them are still up, but there were several comments on there from people who could not believe that a sheriff just admitted that he committed a straw purchase. And I addressed them with the appropriate answer. However, it got me to thinking that apparently there's probably some misconception about what a straw purchase actually is. So I'm going to preface this by telling you that I'm not a lawyer, but I can read, and I am able to comprehend the English language fairly well, and I have been dealing with the law for 30 years. I've arrested people for committing straw purchases, and I know what it takes to prove up the crime of committing a straw purchase. And I just kind of wanted to go through this to clear up any misconceptions about that. And I've got my laptop here. Don't take my word for it. Go to your own computer or get on your phone. You got a computer in your hand probably. And you can check out 18 U.S. Code 932, which is specifically straw purchasing of firearms. And it gives you a list of definitions. The first definition is of drug trafficking crime, which has the meaning given in 924C2, includes a felony punishable under the law of a state for which the conduct constituting the offense would constitute a felony, punishable under the Controlled Substances Act, the Controlled Substances Import and Export Act, or Chapter 705, Title 46, which, since this is a subheading of drug trafficking crimes, I'm assuming 705, Title 46 is some sort of drug trafficking crime. Definition number two, the term federal crime of terrorism, which has the meaning given in Section 2332B5. And number three, the term felony means any offense under any federal or state law punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. So those are the definitions. Now, definitions are important when you're reading a statute or a code, because there will be things in the code that will need to be defined. So we've got the definitions. Now, a description of the violation. It shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly purchase or conspire to purchase any firearm in or otherwise affecting interstate or foreign commerce. I'm going to stop there for just a second. So the federal government only has jurisdiction over things that involve interstate commerce. or foreign commerce. If something does not cross the state line, then the federal government really does not have much jurisdiction over that. However, Taurus 327 Federal Magnum was imported from Brazil and crossed. It's part of foreign commerce, so they have jurisdiction over that gun. So for the purposes of what we're talking about, they have jurisdiction. So it shall be unlawful for any person to knowingly purchase or conspire to purchase any firearm in or otherwise affecting interstate or foreign commerce for, on behalf of, or at the request or demand of any other person, knowing or having reasonable cause to believe that such other person meets the criteria of one or more paragraphs of Section 922D, which is a totally different section. But basically, 922D spells out the people that are prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition, which are people who are habitually intoxicated or drugged, or people who are felons, or people who have been adjudicated mentally incompetent, or there's just a list. So basically, anyone prohibited from possessing a firearm. Number 2, intends to use, carry, possess, sell, or otherwise dispose of the firearm in the furtherance of any felony, any federal crime of terrorism, or any drug trafficking crime. Or 3, intends to sell or dispose of the firearm to a person described in paragraph 1 or 2. And that's where the description of the violation ends. So, for clarity, my brother-in-law is to the best of my knowledge, is not planning on committing an act of federal terrorism. To the best of my knowledge, is not a drug trafficker. And to the best of my knowledge, is not a felon or otherwise prohibited person. So, by the term or the description here in the U.S. Code, it's not a straw purchase for me to purchase a firearm from my brother-in-law. It's actually perfectly acceptable to purchase a firearm as a gift especially for a direct family member, and it not be a straw purchase. It's not a crime. Now, here's something else I'll add to that. Every state has different rules, right? So while here in Missouri, it's perfectly legal for me to purchase a firearm as a gift for my brother-in-law and merely walk up and hand it to him, where in other states, some other states have requirements that even private party transactions have to go through an FFL. Missouri is not one of those states. So if you are in one of those states, I maybe can see how you're confused about what I did, but Missouri is not one of those states. It is perfectly legal in most states to purchase a firearm as a gift for someone else. Now, here's what I would caution you. When I say someone else, I literally mean someone else. I mean, you can see by the description of the violation. If someone is not a terrorist or going to commit an act of terrorism, to the best of your belief, is not a felon or a prohibited person, to the best of your belief, and does not plan on using that firearm to commit a felony, to the best of your belief, it is legal. It is not a straw purchase to go purchase a firearm for that person. I would caution you to not do this with anyone except a direct family member. Even your best friends. Sometimes you don't know people as well as you think you do. But anyway, the long and the short of it is I think maybe there's some misconception amongst the masses as to what a straw purchase actually is. And it is not a straw purchase to purchase a firearm as a gift for someone who's not prohibited. That being said, again, I'm going to end this with the same thing I said when I started it. I'm not a lawyer, but I can read, and I do have a good comprehension of how the law works. And I have been intimately involved in the law for 30 years, and I know what it takes to prove up. I know the elements of the crime of committing a straw purchase. So anyway, again, don't take my word for this. Go look up 18 U.S. Code 923. Take a look at it for yourself. But Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. And from Audrain County, Missouri, Sheriff Matt Aller, have a great night.